Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Dance to Oneness podcast. This is episode 16. My name is Amy Shine. I'm your host. And today I have a beautiful guest here, Karla Lightfoot. And Karla is an access consciousness facilitator, but she is also a clinical or medical I can't even say
Hypnosis.
no, hypnotherapist. Thank you. It's Sunday morning. I'm a small bit still asleep. Hypnotherapist. And she's also a Sheila Kelley S-Factor movement instructor. Some of you will have no idea what that is. And we'll talk a bit about it on the show today. But you're also a TRE. What's a TRE?
So it's tension and trauma release exercises, which discharges extra, like all the tension trauma from your body. And, that's how you could describe it. That's one way to describe it. For me, it's actually the allowance of life just vibrating through your entire body naturally. So you get to know and learn how your body is always working on your behalf. So, it's really, it's for anybody, but, it works really well for people who have all kinds of like health issues and have experienced deep trauma, depression. It's really a somatic practice.
Amazing. And it seems like a lot of the work you do is somatic. A lot of you're a big body worker. You do a lot with embodiment. And I know you're an access consciousness facilitator. I know you teach the body processes. And I also know you're a dancer and a mover. And you love everything that is embodiment. And I had the pleasure of meeting Karla in person. I've known her for a while online. I met her in person this weekend and we had a 3-day body class in Delray Beach. And at the end of the 3-day body class, our friend Tara put on some music. And everyone was kind of gone. There was only a few of us in the room, and we ended up started to dance. But this wasn't just like jumping around the room dancing. It was really kind of more like sensual movement. So I really wanted to talk to you today, and we titled the podcast Strip Down. And there's a reason for that, and we'll get to that in a minute. I want to talk first, like, what is this sensual movement to you? What brought you to this? And why sensual movement?
Yeah. Okay. So, oh gosh, I don't know how many years ago now. I'm a trained yoga instructor. I don't teach yoga anymore, but I was teaching yoga, and I just kept feeling like something was missing out of the yoga practice, out of my life, and I don't know. I kept looking at all this lingerie. Like I was looking through it, I was like, ooh, this lingerie feels so good. And I was telling a friend of mine about it, and she's like, you know what? I think you would really like this place called S-Factor, which is, part of that conversation of Strip Down. And so I discovered sensual movement through S-Factor. I went for an intro class one day. There's a studio in New York City. This was back in like 2008, maybe 2007, actually. I went to that class and I never left. My body was so freaking happy. It was like, it was like one of those home experiences, right? Where it's like kind of like access consciousness in that way of like home experiences. And back then, I probably didn't have words to describe it because I just knew. And now what I've come to be able to put into words, and still much of it is undescribable, is being with my body and going beyond my body all at once, and experiencing the joy and the pleasure of everything, right? Of everything that I'm aware of as an ex-man and an ex-woman. All the beauty and pleasure of life. And really allowing my body just to be and move and go and do what it requires and desires, what it wants to do. And this journey of sensual movement, of really discovering all the parts of what's available. I mean, at first for me, it was very much touch, right? It was very much breath.
Touching your body.
Yeah, touching my body, touching my curves, and especially as a woman, being able to touch into and breathe into and smell into and listen to, like, all the senses of you from the inside out and also from the outside in. So like
I just want to touch on this little piece here, because I know some people are listening. They're probably like, what are you talking about? You know? And so say like these classes that you found, like the S-Factor classes, and some of you may have gone to other classes, and I love that piece too, like how much you were going to yoga and you knew something was missing. Like, I think how many people go to these classes or go to the gym or do whatever, but there's such a big part missing. And I think that's that piece you touched on. Like when you went to this S-Factor class, it was like, oh, wow, there's this whole sensualness, this whole being with your body, this whole orgasmic experience with your body that is so missing in our everyday life. So when you say like you just got to touch your body, I take it for granted. Like I've always, like, not that I've always, but I started to do that stuff at home by myself. Like I started to find this movement by myself, and just from my own inner like yearnings of like, I want to be more sensual. I want to move like this. And I started to move like that by myself at home with music on and candles lit. But it's so interesting the amount of women and men too who don't actually touch their bodies.
Yes.
You know, like we handle our bodies. We manhandle them, you know, we tell them what to do, but do we actually touch?
And that's what separates us, right? We go to the gym, even if we're doing yoga, get into all the like linear positions, and life is not linear. Your body is not linear as a woman, as a being. Everything's always moving. Everything's always expressing, everything's always changing. And so how cool that you discovered that on your own.
Yeah, it was interesting because I've always yearned for more from different things, like that, like go to yoga and be like, there has to be more, you know, like I went to a 12-step program 5 years in A, and I was like, there has to be more. Like there's always knowing when there's something missing. And I have always kind of discovered it sometimes, like if I can't find it out here, I'm going to find it here. And so I would just explore myself, like with music and movement. And I suppose that's how I came. And that's the thing, I didn't go right there. Like I actually discovered first movement as like getting out of my head into my body, like letting go of all the craziness. Like that's how I discovered movement first by myself. And then it progressed.
Yeah.
You know, but I went through different, and I'm sure you did too, like where I went to bachata for a while and salsa, and I learned, and I kind of got more into the sensual movement with the bachata and the kazumba and stuff, you know, and like dancing with different men, and it not being about sex and it not being about expectation. And you know, and then I started to discover I could have this with myself. So, could you maybe touch on more like what else you discovered in these classes, or like how did these classes kind of open you up to more of this sensualness with your body?
So what I hear you saying when you like went through that discovery is like discovering the joy of your body and the magic of your body. So through these classes, that certainly, you know, has come up for me. And then also, in particular, like S-Factor is done in a dark room, and there are no mirrors. There's no, you know, it's just you and your body and what's around you. And so when you're in that space of exploration, And there's a little bit of a language that we teach to students so that they're not just like, where do I go? What do I do?
Yeah.
So there are some, ways that you can express yourself. But basically, when you're in that space, there's music and your body. And it's like, for me, it's been a part of expanding my awareness. Specifically for me, I can't speak for other, teachers or students. And at the same time, I know that there are other people, but the awareness of something more and the capacity to actually be everything and have everything. And when I say everything, it's like all of these energies, right? Like the energy of joy, the energy of power, or the energy of pleasure, the energy of, it's like all these different energies started showing up, and I started to see how I could actually receive and be and exchange all these energies, along with like the energy of well, for me, the earth and the universe, and like start to play with that energy through the movement. So yeah, and even through teaching, like, so this is, by the way, this is me looking back through several eyes and several, it was a process of sort of, that opening up to me. So yeah, I mean, I guess to describe, like, for people who don't know anything about S-Factor, it is a feminine movement practice that allows you to explore your curves as a woman and explore the sensuality of you and beyond. There's, no limitations on it. And that's through this organic movement of what your body would like to do, be, create, allow, receive in that space, in that room, or in the space of the world, like outside of the room too, right?
Yeah, I love that you said like that organic movement. It's not like a manufactured movement. It's not a form and structure movement that we're so used to. And it's so great that you said, like, yeah, people come in and, you give them some instructions, but not really instructions. It's just more like, you can put a hand here if you want. And if you'd like, you can put a leg here. But it's not like your right leg goes 45 degrees, like, yeah, it's more like that, like invitation, because it is true. I notice it again and again that people do require, like at the start, sometimes people require a little bit of like, where do I go? Because it's almost like sometimes our bodies are even foreign to us. Like moving like that is like a whole new language, like if you've never like, stroked your hand and like moved your hips.
Moved your hand through your hair, right?
Moved your hand through your hair. Like sometimes I take it for granted, like that I do this stuff, And then
this alone is a miracle, right? That you can actually move your hand and run it's a miracle. People don't actually, there are people who can't do that.
And it, like it's like a body process. We do body process and access. Like if you just do this movement and like run your hands through your body, up your neck, like, whoo, oh my God, wow.
Right?
That's even changing things right now for me. Like it's waking me up because like it's Sunday morning,
And so, as you begin to touch and move that, it's like, what other parts of your body? You see how the rest of your body is moving? Like my hips want to move. My chest is moving. Yeah. And so beautiful. It's like, how can you be an allowance of all the things that your body actually desires and finds pleasure in? And I think you were about to ask me a question, but then I was like, move.
No, let's keep moving. I love it because now also, like this type of movement, like now people are getting the energy, and apologies to people who are listening to the audio, but you get the energy of our bodies just having this natural movement. You said it, organic movement. Organic, it's natural. Now, it may not feel natural at the start because you may have never even allowed yourself to be this. But one of the beautiful things is that it's actually not about having to prove anything. It's not about performing. That's what you said, Amy. It's not a performance. And I always say, dance for me is not a performance. It's a movement of energy.
Yes.
And so much of this reality is about even, you know, like I've done like lap dancing classes and pole dancing classes and all that stuff. And it still is about getting the technique right, getting the right move, rehearsing the right move, doing it in, you know, the right place. And it takes you out of that organic movement with your body.
And what if it instead? Oh,
well, the last piece I was going to say is I wonder how much we avoid that organic movement with our body. And what are we really avoiding?
Right. Ha.
Like how much joy, how much orgasm, how much like creativity, like how much of
pleasure.
Pleasure. Okay, we're going to go there on Sunday morning.
I mean, how many people avoid pleasure because they have a point of view that life should be difficult, that life is pain?
That is, I mean, you just hit the nail on the head. Like, that's it. Like we're avoiding pleasure because we have to try and make life difficult here to fit in.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting. I looked at that yesterday. I was like, wow, like how much do we actually like not allow ourselves to have pleasure?
Yeah. Or allow our bodies to have pleasure. You know, so I love this, like, so I know we're on Dance to Oneness, but, and I've been, you know, been a movement teacher for like 10 years now. So, and also the thing I didn't mention about S-Factor and in general, this movement that I enjoy is the slowness of it, right? And so there is a part of that actually, when you're moving that slow, you can actually hear and sense what your body would like. And I was mentioning that because I also this last year, all of a sudden my body was like, I want to play tennis. And I was like, what? Because I haven't done any sports like that for a long time. It's all been about the sensual movement for I don't know how long. And what if we could listen to our bodies and just be willing to take our body, like, you know, to listen, to follow what our bodies are asking for, whether it's in the slow or in the fast, you know?
Yeah. I love that. And you can't really hear what your body is asking for until you first quieten that busy mind of yours, which is so cool because you got to that place with the sensual movement, which is very slow, very being with you and your body, like not at all about what it looks like or the moves, just being with your body and feeling it and moving it and then
feeding it.
Meeting it. Yeah.
Feeding and meeting. Meeting it, right? Befriending it.
Yeah.
All these things.
But then you got to hear what else your body was looking for. Because actually your body's like, well, I'd like to go play tennis, or I'd like to eat this food, or I'd like to, you know, go create something over here. So it's like that's that oneness, you know, the dance, the oneness. It's like your body is not separate to your business. It's not separate to your relationships. It's not separate to your money. Like that's that when you get that communion with your body, you have that communion with everything.
Yeah, that's beautiful. It's so well said. And it's so interesting. So I've been aware of how like different things I've desired somehow just show up, and I'm aware of my body somehow, you know, not somehow, but just connecting with the energies of everything to create truly what, you know, I mean, there have been funny times where my body expresses itself to like my husband, and he'll like bring home a bottle of champagne when I'm like wanting champagne. And he's like, oh, I just happened to buy a bottle of champagne. And I was like, oh, thank you. I was wanting that and I didn't say it, but my body told you from, across Manhattan.
Karla,
this.
Oh, sorry. Go on.
Oh, I was just going to say this communication that's happening here and this allowance and this listening and this gifting that's happening both ways, because nothing ever goes one way. One of my teachers always used to say that to me. So this gifting and receiving that's happening with the body is also allowing that communication to reverberate out into all the other places and spaces of everything. So that dancing to oneness that you're talking about, and that dancing into you, that moving into you, that is the oneness. And that's the part when you said, I wonder what people are avoiding.
Yeah. Don't worry. Keep going to the gym. Keep doing, your structured movement. It's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that autopilot actually somehow thinking that you are actually doing something for your body. And I'm not saying that you aren't doing anything, but like what more could you have and experience and be? Even if you are going to the gym, what if you could still be in touch with your body? Hey, body, which weight do you want to lift? Hey, body, what machine do you want to be on? You know what I mean? Like I'm just saying that doesn't have to be bad or anything. It's just.
Yeah, exactly. But
how could you incorporate more if that's your thing,
Well, you're also like, there's such an energy you're being with that. It's so beautiful. Like, I'm kind of like, oh, you're making you're making weight sound. Oh my God, I can't speak. You're making weights sound so sensual. I was like, ooh, like, I kind of want to go to the gym now, but it's being that energy where you have this being with your body, you have this presence with your body, and it's not just presence like, oh, I'm going to be present with my body and ask it a question, because I see people do that, like I'm asking my body a question, but you actually have the sensualness, like the sexualness, and we talk in Access, like sexualness is like being out in nature and like lying in the sand. It's like that nurturing, healing, and gifting and receiving. So it's so beautiful for you to be here. And because I hear lots of people talk about asking in Access, we talk a lot about asking your body, but there's a very different energy between asking your body and really gifting and receiving your body. And so when you said, hey body, like what machine would you like to go on? Like there was an energy where you were like actually really truly gifting and receiving with your body, being the question, not just asking a question. So I also get like you have a lot of that awareness from that movement you've created with your body, from getting in touch with it, from like having that sensualness, that more like communion with it. And that's something I would love. Like I'm asking for more and more of that all the time. And I would love more happy bodies on the planet who had that too,
Happy bodies and happier beings, happy beings, right? Happy bodies make happy beings.
But how much would our beings be happier if we actually included our bodies,
Right. Exactly. It's it's so funny because I'm at a place now where I'm really aware of how all the different things that I've explored are contributing to this experience. So like medical hypnosis was really something that taught me more about like how the body and mind can work together to create different scenarios, healing and the movement, bringing the sensuality. And then like even the TRE, really getting to know that everything is a vibration and that my body truly has this intelligence on this reality that can connect to everything, but has this vibration that can change things and shift things and open things up. And I mean, I think I told you, I was laughing at 3-Day Body that, oh, I'm fascinated. I've been fascinated for a while, and it's like more information keeps coming my way. And so, yeah, just interesting. And even laughter, right? Like laughter is a vibration. So we talked about laughter too. And like, what would it take for us to allow the laughter to vibrate through our body? The joy. There's so much. But I'm aware, and what I'm saying is I'm aware of how I'm starting to become aware of how all these bits and pieces come together and how they're actually one, which is interesting. Just talking to you today, even. Yeah.
That is the dance to oneness.
I know, right? It's like they're all dancing together. So yeah.
Karla, so if people are like curious, like, are you teaching any of these classes online?
At the moment, I am not. Amy. And I am doing a workshop on the 19th and the 26th that involves and includes movement and some access consciousness tools. It's called Yay, Your Awesome Year. And I'm happy to give you the link to that. So we'll be doing movement in that. And then I'm looking at dates to sprinkle something out there.
Come on, Karla. You have a whole group of ladies who are like, come on, get your movement online. We require you. In the world, we require you facilitating movement. So I know Tara's interested. I know I am. I know Frederica, she's a mover too. I know there's a lot of people on here listening and listening to the replay that would be interested in finding out about your classes. And for those of you who are curious about S-Factor, there's a website, you can go check it out. There's a lot of teachers out there. And every teacher is so different. And I just love Karla. I love that you have a very different energy with it. And everyone is different, like I said. But one thing why I was like, Karla, I want a class with you. And because you're really being the energy. And there's a big difference between being the energy of something and just like teaching it, you know, like, and you know, you have the joy of embodiment. So that is a gift. And I know I am definitely interested, and more people would be interested in exploring this type of movement.
Yes.
So let us know when that is ready, when you have the online classes up. And if you, in the meantime, you can check her out at www.karlalightfoot.com.
Yes.
Is that it?
Yes. And my Facebook page too. It's called Crazy Infinite Joy, Karla Lightfoot.
Brilliant. I love it. Well, thanks for joining me today. Thanks everyone for being here. And I hope you enjoy the show, and we'll be back again next week.
Thank you so much for having me. That was fun. Bye.
Ciao.